Oh boy, I cannot be happier to be more wrong. Welcome back to Shining Phoenix Gaming, and yes, it is real. Usagi is coming to Shredder's Revenge. So, my plan here is to break up the trailer into two videos. The first one will be this one here, be a general breakdown of the trailer, mostly excluding Usagi, and the second one is going to be a more in-depth look at Usagi himself, as well as anything related to him, like stages and cameos. First, a little bit of info on the DLC coming up here. JF Major states that the development for Dimension ShellShock took place right around the launch of the game last year. They started working on the December update first, but were heads down in the DLC as well during the past year. The team had a lot of ideas in mind, but Yannick here does mention that fans do have some kind of influence on the direction the team wanted to take with the DLC. Now, imagine that. A developer that actually listens to fans. It's a rare thing indeed, and I do actually mean that. Next, let's get what can't be done or talked about, of course. Yannick says here that cameo characters will not be playable, unfortunately, so don't expect anyone that you have seen in the trailer or past cameos currently in the game to be able to be playable. Next, we've got someone asking if there will be new moves added or if there will be any kind of balance pass or update to the game, and to nobody's surprise, can't tell, sorry. Of course. Tribute's track record as of late leads me to believe that there will be some kind of change to the base game, or else they would just outright say no, which they have done so in the past before. Most of the time, this deflection will not be any kind of confirmation, but again, it does sometimes end up being true. Price and timeline on the release? Of course, they can't talk about that right now, but more info is coming soon. So I'd like to say we're looking at an autumn update with possibly a new trailer, and then we'll get a release date for sometime in December. Maybe we'll even get a surprise announcement at the Game Awards in December with it dropping on that particular day, like Shadow Drop. They did say 2023, so let's hope we'll get to see it within the next 5 months or so with no delay that will end up taking us into 2024. Continuing with the cost of the DLC, it looks like we're going to be getting a free update as well as paid DLC, according to both the team as well as a very short IGN article that had covered the announcement. It makes mentions, besides Usagi of course, a new mode, which I'm actually going to cover a little bit later, new music, we're getting alternate colors separate from the DLC as well. So we're going to get a bunch of free ones as well as ones tied to the DLC, but more on this particular detail during the actual breakdown. We didn't get any kind of any at launch because one, the devs said before it's quite time consuming and costly, and two, they need to be validated by Nickelodeon, which is a time consuming process all on its own. Doing it as DLC gave them the time to do it all and do it right without rushing, which I'm sure all of us can appreciate. Now, as I mentioned in my last video, that didn't stop people from making mods of their own particular palette swaps. JF Major does warn that this update will probably break some of the mods as they had to rework a lot of the player animations. Not sure why they had to do all the animations. Maybe we'll get new costumes, but I sincerely doubt it. I'd like to say it's more in line with doing palette swaps the right way. That ended up breaking some coding or something like that, but who knows? It's beyond my realm of knowledge. This will be a nice segue into the actual trailer itself, which I'm going to be doing slightly out of order, and a little bit different here with some screenshots instead of the action rolling on, unless I need to actually point out something specific. Here, we're getting our first look at some of the retro style colors for our shelled heroes. While not 100% identical, these looked like they were influenced by TMNT 2, the arcade game, and TMNT 3, the Manhattan Project, complete with their skins of a flat color, no shadows, torso and shells being completely green, and their belts being the same colors as their bandanas. My only criticism here is that Mikey's color looks a little more like a red-orange than the normal bright orange or almost sometimes yellowish orange that he usually has. And look who's buzzing behind the chain link fence. We've got Screwloose here. Wonder if Wingnut will be returning as a boss and be able to team up with Screwloose and have to fight them at the end of this particular level. Who knows? Speaking on the level, you can clearly see that this is a retro-inspired level. Everything has that NES 8-bit look, as well as there being what looks like the CRT filter turned on here. Next up, get a look at a continuation of what seems to be the same stage with a particular style background, and 3 more cameos. Got Tattoo, Scumbug, and A-Stuck. I'm actually surprised we don't see Anthrax here, but maybe he'll show up in another part of this level or another level in the future. Continuing on, we're back in Central Park, where we get an alternate color for Usagi, and what I feel like are the best colors that are going to be coming to this game, in my opinion, the 2003 designs. Now, I personally grew up on the 87 series, but I love the designs from 03. We see different skin tone on Donnie and Mikey. Donnie's bow staff has the purple wrap around the middle, nice little detail, and their pupils are completely removed. All you see is the whites of their eyes. There is a slight bit of black near the corners towards the middle, but I'm going to say it's more to show some kind of shadow, in the design of their eyes and their head. Also, eagle-eyed 03 fans will notice Mikey's nunchucks are unchanged here. This is probably due to the original design in the game not having any kind of additional details, and to add the orange wraps would be extremely time-consuming, I'm sure. Moving on again, we've got another color swap for Usagi, and which I would say looks like pays homage to Splinter from the TMNT live-action movie from the 90s with the tan-looking kimono. Again, details are limited here due to the team not having the time to create and animate an entirely new sprite sheet. To round out the palette swaps, we get a flash of multiple colors for Mikey here, starting from left to right and then moving, top row to the bottom row. First image being what I think pays homage to the 1990 movie. I would even say the 07 movie, possibly. However, his eyes are actually blue in the 07 movie, as opposed to them being brown in the 1990 live-action film. Next up, once again, the badass 2003 design. The third design closely resembles the 2012 design. Got the blue eyes and such right there. Moving on to the bottom row, we've got some influence, what looks like from the Rise series. It's the one I have the least amount of experience with, but that's my guess there. Next comes from the comic The Stump Arena. I've never heard of it before, but you can see there he's got the full head orange bandana. And lastly, we've got a neon-looking green color here, and for the life of me, I have not been able to figure out where this comes from. I scoured over the internet, I tried looking around, I can't find it anywhere, and I didn't see anybody post in Discord what this might actually be. I originally thought that it was an NES style, or maybe even a Game Boy or something like that, but it doesn't really look similar to some of the screenshots that I showed earlier, TMNT 2 and TMNT 3 screens. Leave a comment down below and let me know what you think where this skin actually comes from. Adding this in post-script while I was editing the video and getting screen captures, I did take notice to color differences between the TMNT 2 arcade game and TMNT 3 The Manhattan Project. The image on the far right from the trailer has the turtles all with the same skin tone, just like they are from the Manhattan Project. Actually, if you look closely, the skin tone actually looks very similar between Shredder's Revenge and the Manhattan Project here. The skins from TMNT 2, the arcade game, however, has each of the turtles with different skin tones, Mikey's being bright, not as bright as Raphael's, also being kind of almost washed out. Not exactly neon, but I am going to take a stab and say that this Mikey is influenced from TMNT 2, the arcade game, and what was shown in the trailer would be from TMNT 3, the Manhattan Project. Again, leave a comment below with your analysis. Shifting gears, let's get on the topic of the new game mode. First, a small screenshot from the CBR interview that was done earlier this month. They asked Tribute Marketing Manager Eric Lafontaine about the new game mode. He states that it will bring a fresh twist to the Fighting the Foot Clan, introducing new variants, locales, cameos, and hazards, and their aim is to give us players a new opportunity for co-op by enhancing that specific aspect. So let's dive in here with these next two segments that have some details that may have been missed that will give us a little bit of an insight into the new game mode, as well as what to expect for new enemies. First up, we see the turtles exiting the portal into what looks like, I would guess, is the home world or city within Dimension X of the neutrinos. If you look closely at the background, it actually kind of almost looks like a more advanced Halo ring. Next up, we've got some lightly colored, slightly altered color of the Mouser Model 3 robot with yellowish highlights instead of the normal blue. Same with the standard Mousers that drop after it's defeated. And we have a variation of the purple whip foot soldiers with their masks removed. It looks like there is a little bit of influence from the foot mech or foot gunner from the 03 series based on the head with the red mono eye and the long extensions for the bandana, of course. Also, take notice of the blue crystal that drops on the ground after the Model 3 is destroyed. We obviously don't know what this pickup will do yet, as the HUD is turned off for the trailer, but it's safe to say it's going to play an important part, whatever it is in this new mode. Amidst the chaos, we can actually quickly see Mikey pick it up, walking over it with just a basic animation for it disappearing. So to me, that actually tells me it doesn't seem like it's going to be restoring any kind of health or ninja power. Maybe it's going to extend a timer. We'll find out a little bit later. We also have its conveyor belts moving in the opposite directions in some type of futuristic looking building. It kind of looks like this is a static stage, as in there's no transition of any type, and you'll be fighting here for some time until you complete the stage, whatever the objective is, win or lose. I'm thinking something along the lines, again, Streets of Rage 4 with static stages, portals that, move on, move to the other stages, basically. But more on that in a minute. Next up, we're back out in the Neutrino cityscape. Not much more to unpack here other than the variant weaponless purple foot soldiers. I'd say they're going to hit harder and have more health than the standard versions they're based on. We also see 2 more crystals drop right under Leo, one of which he picks up actually immediately. Back to the whole static stage thing I mentioned earlier, there is also a screenshot on the Steam page that shows a green spear-wielding foot soldier, complete with the advanced variant, in the mix on the same screen as the part I had just shown, as well as the opening for the video. We also see the same thing here with Usagi jumping out of the portal onto this dirt road. Now, I know I said I wasn't going to touch on anything related to Usagi in this video, but I did want to make a small comparison between these 2 images of the same stage, as well as another not shown here in the trailer, but it is also on the Steam page. Again, we've got Usagi jumping out onto the dirt road, but here we have the same road, but we can see it's at dusk. And also, there's different cameos in the background that are watching the action. This may be a stage transition for story purposes, or this could be how you move from stage to stage, again, akin to the survival mode of Streets of Rage 4. Coming back to what looks like New York in its all 8-bit glory, we see not only a variant of the blue foot soldier holding a wrench, but we also see the standard versions with different weapons, one being a wooden spoon and the other a tonfa or nightstick. Next, this is extraordinarily short, so a few things may have been missed. We have another advanced blue foot soldier carrying some type of electrical shock weapon, and they're doing an aerial downward stab or slam type of move. With it, I'm sure is going to do some big damage to the player. Over on the right, we also have another version of the rock soldiers, one of which doing, its regular punch, and the other one doing its armored charge. Before bringing this video to a close, I wanted to touch on 2 more things. First up is this right here. New playable characters, plural. We're getting at least 2 total based on this right here. Obviously, we know Usagi's coming, but who else would be on the way? I did speculate in my last video, the 2 biggest possibilities being Mondo Gecko and Mona Lisa, with me leaning more towards Mona Lisa, with the team wanting to add another female character. Well, someone did some data mining. Apparently, there is a sprite of her within the files of the game. It's only one though, so that doesn't confirm anything. Maybe it was left in there by mistake. Maybe she's only making a cameo and it's just thrown in there, and when the video, when the game came out, they just forgot to remove it. Who knows? We'll find out a little bit later. Lastly, let's go back to the CBR interview. Yannick is asked if there's going to be any further DLC. His reply, same as it was last year when we were all asking about DLC originally. It all depends on us, the fans. But the team is focused on delivering the best possible fan experience with Dimension ShellShock. So, that's going to do it for this first breakdown video of the DLC for Shredder's Revenge. Next up, I'm going to be going over in detail the one and only Miyamoto Usagi, or Usagi Yojimbo, depending on which name you would like to use. Subscribe to the channel so you don't miss that breakdown, other Shredder's Revenge news and videos, and other indie game content. Catch you guys in that next one.